Show 5. It's the biggest one so far. One of the bigger ones on tour, so pretty pumped.
Yeah, it's a great venue. But I really wanted to, for the people listening, bear with me, because for a print story and maybe for a video, might be able to cut in some shots of Byron Bay. I really wanted to talk about, your experiences in Byron Bay, because people in Australia maybe don't appreciate, that you recorded 2 records there, and you spent a lot of time there. So I'm gonna, firstly, I'm gonna ask you a bit later about, where would you recommend people drink? Where would you recommend people eat? Where would you? But just for people who, what would you tell me a little bit about the band's connection to the town and how you came to spend so much time there?
It all started with procuring our manager, who's still our manager, shopping around for producers and kind of coming up dry, a couple dead leads. One of which was actually the Foo Fighters drummer who passed away. He actually, we have a voicemail from him where he had heard the song and he liked it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. Taylor Hawkins, rest in peace. So that didn't work out, and we were going to work with the guys who did Greta Van Fleet, and that didn't work out. And then our manager basically kind of reluctantly, volunteered that he had a brother in the game. And he was like, I'm not trying to be nepotistic, I'm not going to force it on you, but, the Didia brothers have never done a record together. And so we got on the phone with him, and it was just kind of kismet immediately. The one caveat being, he's like, well, I live in Byron Bay, Byron Bay, Australia. And, when we really started to crunch the numbers, the upfront cost to us, not having a label wasn't very high. And he was very generous and had a good belief in the band, and I think maybe did a favor for his brother, so he allowed us to pay him after we took the record and shopped it to publishing companies. So he was basically like, look, I'll make the record for you, take it and go get the money to pay me with. Which, that was everything in terms of getting us off the ground. We didn't make a long record, obviously. It was only 6 tracks. We didn't have a lot of songs. We did have When I'm Gone. So that's how we got down to Byron Bay. And he'd been there for probably about 18 to 20 years. Somewhere in the early 2000s, he moved down there to produce Powderfinger. Yeah. And then he had smashed with them. And then I think he did all their biggest records. So he just stayed. Yeah. And then he had a daughter, and so he raised her there. And that's how we got there.
Pre-COVID, you get off the plane in Brisbane, I guess. You get on someone picks you up, takes you down to Byron. What were your impressions of the place? Is that how it played out, or did you go?
Yeah, we rented a car. Because we brought some guitars and stuff and pedal boards and whatnot. I think it was a couple-hour drive. I think we flew into. Did we fly into Brisbane? I can't remember. I know we flew out of Brisbane. I remember the leaving. We went and saw. Anyway, so when we got there, we drove down. We drove in the night, and then my first impression was the jet lag's different over there. It's the opposite of here. Instead of staying up late, you get up early. So we get there and we're all just wide-eyed at 5 a.m. like 6 a.m. So then we were starting to be like, wow, the way Nick wants to work isn't going to be so bad. We were a little off put because he's kind of got like an old school day workers approach to it. He's
9
like
to 5.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. He's like 10 to 7. And he's like, or he was like 5. Maybe if we get into it 7. I was like, okay. We're thinking like studio, weirdo, creative hours, or who knows what's going to happen.
Are you staying near the studio? Where are you staying?
I think back then on the first one, I think we stayed in Mullumbimby.
Yeah.
A little north.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a really nice Airbnb, and it was right on a lagoon. And they had, every morning I would get up, and back then I was trying to do like a 10-minute meditation every morning. And, we had a kitchen, so we'd cook food and stuff, and I'd read a book, and then I'd go out onto the lagoon and get on this, what do you call it? Like not a kayak, but where you stand on it and paddle. So I'd go out on that lagoon every morning. I didn't know if you guys got gators or not, but I was like, I'm out here. Probably a stupid idea, but I never saw anything. So except for huge spiders everywhere. That was crazy. And then we would drive into his studio. His studio back then was in a different location. I know it was south and wasn't exactly in Byron Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'd go there, and it was in a house actually.
Mm-hmm.
So we recorded like that first EP with Rolling Sevens and When I'm Gone and Heartbreaker at his first studio out there, and it was in a compound of houses, basically in like this beautiful like hillside overlooking the jungle and then
the hinterland. Yeah.
It was wonderful, and it was this older man, super eccentric art collector. I think he was like a single gay guy, just like probably 65, like the best guy. Funny story, I took a walk out on his property on my own and didn't tell anyone. And when I came back, everyone was like, "Are you crazy?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "There's brown snakes everywhere." And then later that night, we went out into Byron Bay and we went to this place that had like where was it? We went to this outside place. We got a beer, and then we went to this other place and got a burger. And when we were at the burger, I had this itch in my neck, and then it just wouldn't go away, and I could feel this little tab, and I thought I had like one of those like skin tabs. So I'm pulling on it, and then I pulled on it a little hard, and then it really just stung everywhere all around it. And I was like, and I remember I go to Justin, I was like, pulled my hair, I was like, "What is this?" And that dude, right in the restaurant, he just screamed, he's like, "Tick!" And he yanked it out. He got it out. He just yanked this tick out of my neck, throws it in the restaurant because he doesn't want to touch it anymore.
Yep.
But here we are. We just tossed a tick in the middle of this restaurant. But and the next day I went back and we went to the homeowner guy, the art collector. He was really funny, man. He's like, "Mate, you'll be all right. Back in the day, we put a little gasoline on it, you know." Like,
What's it, petrol, not gasoline?
Yeah, petrol, right. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so we're back with John and from Dirty Honey, and we're talking about the band's adventures in Byron Bay. So did you feel when you were there you became a local at any point? Did you feel like you were like did you go out every night? Were you very diligent? You know, like did you? Because I always find when I go to Byron, I slow down. It's just kind of a relaxing sort of place, isn't it? Did you find it had an impact on you that way? Or?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's very chill. That first time when we stayed in Mullumbimby, there was less going out because we were up. And we were in a little neighborhood. You could walk to the beach, which was nice. I did that a couple mornings and stuff. But so the next time around, this most recent time, Nick had a new studio, a more proper studio that wasn't in a house. I mean, he had a proper drum room in that first studio, but this one was like a studio.
Yep.
And so this one was out in Ballina or Ballina.
Ballina, yep.
Yeah, Ballina Shire,
Down
which is
the
where
coast. Oh, right, that's the Shire, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
The whole name of that actually came from mishearing him.
Right.
He thought Nick said the Ballad of the Shire, and he said, "No, we're in the Ballina Shire." And so then Mark was like, "That's a good song title." And actually Nick thought he was kidding. And then later Nick was like, "That's a horrible song title." And then there was this whole battle that ensued for months. And then we kind of compromised by putting both in. It's like Coming Home and the Ballad of Shire.
That's awesome. So you were supposed to go out there for before COVID, right? And you weren't able to go for the same reason none of us could go anywhere. And you're also supposed to play the Blues Fest 2020.
Yeah.
Is that
So so to go back chronologically, we do the first EP the time we stayed in Mullumbimby. We were there for 12 days. I think we only did about maybe 7 or 8 ideas and released 5 initially, and then released a 6th one on vinyl and as part of the vinyl. And then so that's November, I believe, 2018, and then we hit the road and do the whole year of 2019. Have a number 1 song, open for Guns N' Roses, open for Slash, open for Alter Bridge. Really a whirlwind of achievement off of only releasing 7 songs.
Yeah. And that number 1 as well for an unsigned band, which is history, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, and that was really good for the business guys, to go around and flex on us, to court favor and get things to happen. I think that was a real good. They really earned their stripes on that one, as they say. And then we did a successful headlining tour, our real first headlining tour this time of the year, 2020 in America. And what we were looking at for a schedule in 2020 was really exciting. I mean, we were all like, 2020, we're going to see 2020 and 2020, our vision's coming true, like our career vision, everything. I just can't believe what happened. But what was going to take place was we were about to finish that tour. In 2 weeks, we were going to go back and do another EP. That was the plan. We were just going to do EPs because we write songs slow, and we thought, well, let's just do another 5, and we'll do another 5, and we'll just do them every 6 months or something, or in that case, a year. And then we were going to go back. We were going to do that in, I think, March or April of 2020, and then we were going to do festivals in America, and then we were going to do, I think while we were down there for the album, we were going to do Byron Bay Blues Fest. We were going to jump off real quick and go do Download Tokyo. Then we were going to come back and do like 6 weeks of U.S. festivals, and then immediately go to Europe for the first time. We were going to play Download UK. It was just such an exciting year. Again, like having released 7 songs and we were already about to go global. It was so... it's sometimes hard to think about it. It was so exciting. And then, of course, the whole world, the one thing that could stop it happened, which no one thought of,
And so have you got like a group of people down there that you'll be, you're looking forward to catching up with again, when you go back to Byron?
Well, I don't know if you want to stick with the chronology. So then then COVID, everything, we come back. It's been a couple of years, and then we did this last record in Byron again, and Nick has a new studio out in the Ballina. And this time we stayed pretty much in Byron proper, just a little bit inland. Like you could ride your bike in. And we borrowed a bike from a guy, Mark, you'd love it. It was like a $7,000 like multi-suspension mountain bike. It was amazing. Too much bike for like just pedaling down the street. He got Mark into surfing. Now Mark's like a surfer, which I'm kind of surprised he wasn't. Blonde-haired, in-shape guy living in Marina Del Rey. Never surfed.
But never surfed. Yeah.
He had to go to Australia to figure it out. But
lots of sharks in Byron.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah. Funny story about that. I heard that all the Byron people got that shark tracing app. Like the app that tells you where they are, all the tag sharks, and eventually everyone got rid of it just because they were like, it was just too frightening to know that they're there. They're like, let's just go back to the way it was and hope for the best.
When I lived in Byron in 2014, and the lady I was living with, she'd swim from one point to the other point every morning, and she passed sharks every day, and she just said, if your time's up, the time's up. She said, just wave at them, I was like, crazy stuff.
That's you're literally, you're passing a real life monster. Unbelievable. So we stay in Byron that time. I get to know Byron. We all get to know Byron better. Going in multiple times a week and, going shopping, trying to, buy cool things. There was this one night where we went down to this, it's a little bit outside the town. We went out to, what do you call it? Like a hostel. But it's like an outdoor one where everyone camps. And so it's all these world travelers from all over the place, like people 21, 22, 23, 24, and they're really like improvisational time in their life. They're like, I'm just on summer holiday. I'm going to do the whole coast of Australia. And it was super fun, man. Like we were there and we were partying with everyone, and then we ran out of beer, and I was like, well, let's buy some beer. And they were like, well, we don't sell it here. And I was like, what? And I was pretty lit. And I was like, well, where do I get booze? And like, you can get one in town. And the person working there was like, look, mate, there's like probably 300 bikes sitting out there. I'm sure somebody didn't lock it. Just go get some beer and come back. So that's exactly what I did. I just went out and I found the style of bike I like, which is like a road fixie, like a single speed. Found a single speed, just lit, rode into town, bought like a half gallon of tequila, came back.
No one was any the wiser, right?
Nope. No. I passed some people walking, and we were like, fuck yeah! Like, just for no reason. So that was a really good time. there was a really cool like evening thing that we were all at on the beach, right at the outer, like right where the Byron Bay all kind of comes to a head, and there's the beach there. And we went out to dinner a lot of nights, and in the morning we could walk to the beach and do all that. You can ride your bike. Well, that bike was like a mountain bike, so you could ride it on the beach. So I rode it up the whole length of the beach, did a little bit of trail riding. It's definitely that kind of town. I mean, ultimately, I just was really there to be in the studio, so I would have wished to just be in the studio, like to the point where I pass out on the floor. That's my version of heaven. I don't really care where the studio is, as long as inside the studio is like a playground that shuts out the world. So in that sense, it was a little limiting by Nick's schedule of, Nick was in the military, so he's like a schedule guy, and he's like straightforward and calm, which is nice in the studio. But every day at 5, it's like, all right, we're going back to the apartment. Yeah, but you're right. My impression of the Byron Bay is that it's relaxed. It's obviously a beach town. It's got a bit of an upper wealthy kind of vibes going on now. It's almost like a hippie town that then became kind of granola, as we would say in the States, where it's still that same ideal, like, hey, you're in your sandals or you're walking with no shoes on, but we all do that down there anyway. Yeah, that's the crazy thing, man. You don't have to wear shoes in the supermarket. Still blows my mind. Somebody ordering some
tracksuit pants. And stuff that's as much as you get dressed up.
Yeah. So it's real like that. It's like relaxed, wealthy, like kind of like beachy, surfy, hippie, but not like the bad parts of hippie. It's not. Didn't seem to like. I think my understanding is that maybe 30 years ago it was that way, like actually hippie. Yeah.
Too expensive. Like try to get a hotel there for a night now. It's real expensive.
It's really I mean it's turned into a destination place, and a tourist place, but not touristy in an annoying way. It's not packed. Yeah. So it's still a nice getaway. But yeah, I mean if you want to like be away from all your responsibilities, for while you make the record, I mean that's certainly for us it achieves the goal.
Welcome to a new episode of White Line Fever for the people listening, but we're back with Dirty Honey, and I wanted to ask you about. You seem to be like listening to some interviews. You guys are like poster boys for doing it yourself, and you know what I mean. Like, be it an author or a designer or anyone. You're the most successful. Group who don't need to go with a major or don't need to sign up to a corporate contract. Does that sit comfortably? That sort of that position that you've got with people that they look up to you and admire you. Do you sit comfortably as kind of the champions of the independents?
You mean, am I happy being sort of a role model?
Yeah. Because people look at
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I never like to be too who I am. Not necessarily. I don't know about everyone in the band, but I don't know. I try to shy away from saying the way I did it is the way you should do it with anything. Yeah. Because everything that I'm doing is an experimentation and discovery. That being said, it is exciting that we have our little place in history that no one else has done. For me, ultimately, I really just hope that the music and the attitude and the spirit is what connects the fans. I think that's what I'm really trying to get across. And do I sound like I'm on the edge, and do I give you a little taste of freedom with the way I play guitar? Is what I'm hoping for.
That's more important than the business. Yeah,
that's more important than the business to me. I mean, obviously, look, on Earth, you need to be taking part in business or you'll starve. But and in that respect, I'm very proud of us. But that story, I think, it's exactly that. It's a story. It's a thing that happened, and I think when I think back on that year that achieved that, I think back on we used to, we had more meetings often. It was before COVID, so we would go into the management office, and that spirit, that togetherness, and the team was a little bigger because, you need more people in the beginning. We're rolling a little now. I just remember there was a saying that our manager used to say, all the time, and he was kind of like, look, let's just, whatever it is, it's like, look, let's just do it and we'll figure out how to pay for it later. And that was just the spirit of we're going. And it's gonna work. And that's how we ended up with that. I think with the number one song on a radio station that doesn't even really for generally speaking, doesn't even really put songs of our style up to number one, unless it's AC/DC, and then they just automatically do it. But because the AC/DC's already earned their stripes,
So, John, if people are saying that, maybe this is the end of record companies and you're the harbingers of the end of record companies, what happens if you sign with one after all that? Will you have a lot of people who get disappointed?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. Look, you should do as much. One thing that we can show, our story shows you and should show anybody, is you should do as much as you can on your own.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because you need you in the end.
Yeah.
Even if you sign with a record deal, that's only a portion of your life. The portion to get you famous. And also, if you do a lot on your own, get the songs really good, get the recording really good, get your look together, and get the whole thing together, you're gonna, when you do sign a record deal, it'll be more favorable.
Yeah. And I heard an interview where someone said that you probably streaming isn't as disastrous for you as it is for other bands because you get 100% of the money that comes from streaming. So it's not, it's not such a terrible thing for you. Is that right? Because you own the publishing, you own it all,
Yeah, 100%. We do have a publishing deal, but we own the physical record.
Yeah.
So the masters is all coming to us. Which, dude, that has been. It's nice to. It's like I read the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. You remember that book from the 90s? One of the things he said was, if you want something, create a revenue stream to pay for it. And it's like having that masters, we just keep that money there, and it pays for the radio singles. We just that's how we pay all the radio promoters to go around. So it's just paying for itself, and that's a blessing.
Yeah.
We're not getting in debt with somebody else to do that. And also, it also means we can always do it. A lot of times, I think, for example, if you look at here's a hidden benefit. If you look at our singles performance, we had the number one. Then COVID for sure stopped Rolling Sevens from going number one. It was number 3, and it was going. And then we had a number 10, and then we had a number 15, and then we had a number 23 or something. Now, if you were on a label, they might lose faith in you, but we're not on a label. So we just made another record, and our whole team was psyched about the next single, and then it went to number 6. So, and we have the money to push it because it's ours.
Yeah.
So that's one of the to get into the nitty gritty of the business. That's a freedom we have.
Yeah.
No one's giving up on us.
Sometimes independent people in any art, though, the one thing they lack is someone telling them the truth and hard truth. And it sounds like with your manager and your producer, you've got someone who if you need to be told something, they're not afraid to tell you. Because sometimes if you're doing things on your own, you're in a vacuum and you sort of lose sight of what's good and what's bad.
Yeah, exactly. And the reality it is for you kids out there is the only thing we don't have is a record label.
Yeah.
We've got all the other parts.
Yeah.
So it's we have people who are experienced too. They're not trying it out for the first time.
Yeah.
Obviously that comes with its drawbacks. Sometimes they're, of course, more used to doing it the way they've done it for 40 years.
Yeah.
But other than that, they will definitely are not hesitant to tell you how they think.
Well, enjoy Australia. Thanks for a great chat, John. And if we could have one more song.
One more song. What should we play?
What should we play?
Yeah. No, not play.
To play us out?
Yeah. What should we play us out? We already did Coming Home. We already did Won't Take Me Live. Rolling Sevens. Let's do Rolling Sevens.
Okay. Thanks very much. Thanks for joining us.